Hey everybody, it's Chuck Chapman, no more Mr. Nice Guy, certified coach and licensed professional psychotherapist. Shooting a little video for you on Dr. Glover's higher and lower masculine feminine quadrant. Um, Seems like this is something that a lot of nice guys, when they first learn about this, especially I did, was it was just a real game changer for me. So I thought I would take a moment and share it with you. So the idea behind this handout is essentially this, that we are both masculine and feminine. So if you think about it, I have a right and I have a left hand. I am dominantly right-handed. So we all have masculine and we all have feminine traits. Because of my DNA, I am predominantly or masculine. When I'm in my higher conscious state, when I am feeling from a place of love and abundance, I've had enough to sleep, I've had enough to eat, I've had plenty of exercise and that kind of thing. I'm in this higher state. Let's call it sort of the state of wellness. When I'm in that state, my masculine and feminine have the ability to sort of flow back and forth, essentially in the same way that my right hand and my left hand work together. The higher masculine is, of course, so the masculine penetrates, the masculine does. So when you think about the masculine is action-orientated, it's powerful, disciplined, focused, is validated, internal validation through action, is a provider, protector, leads, ascertains. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, what ascertain means. Seeks mastery and freedom, is a problem-solving machine, and consistency is everything. On the other side of the higher state, the feminine is penetrated, she's done too, seeks connection, is receptive, is open, inviting, is validated by connection, externally validated. She magnifies, reflects, nurtures, nests, forgiving, flowing, sensing, a security-seeking creature, and trust is everything. So when I'm in my higher state and I have working both masculine and feminine, I'm predominantly in the masculine, but the feminine is also there internally to help support me. So I might be action orientated, but I can also seek connection. I'm going to be powerful, but I'm also going to be receptive. I'm going to be disciplined and focused, but I'm also open and inviting, and so on. Now, what happens is when we get triggered, we go into our lower state, our lower masculine, our lower feminine. And the lower state is that unconscious place that's fear-driven. That's when we get triggered into the fight or flight place. So the lower masculine is controlling, is dominating, rigid, aggressive, rageful, abusive, destructive, and hurts before hurting. The lower feminine is helpless, feels victimized, takes things personally, is resentful, feels needy, feels trapped, becomes passive-aggressive, withdraws love, and hurts as hurt. Now, the thing is, when I'm in my higher state, there's generally a flow between the masculine and feminine. But when I'm in my lower state, I'm predominantly going to be down in one of these lower quadrants. And that's where this rigid sign comes in here. I'm not going to be flowing back and forth. I'm just going to be stuck in one of these lower unconscious states of fear. For the nice guy, and this is true for me because I am a recovering nice guy, we oftentimes find ourselves, when we're in our lower state, we go to our lower feminine. When I'm in my lower state, I become helpless, I feel victimized, I take things personally, I get resentful, I feel needy, I feel trapped. I am the king of passive aggressiveness. I will withdraw my love and I will hurt as hurt. In other words, if you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back in the same way that you hurt me. The the lower masculine that's controlling, dominating, rigid, aggressive, rageful, abusive, destructive, and hurts before hurt. In other words, they're going to do a preemptive strike. They're going to hurt you before you can hurt them. This is oftentimes the kind of woman that the nice guys are attracted to when they are in their lower state. So as you can see here, one of the things that happens is this rigid wall where the lower feminine kind of becomes withdrawn and where the lower masculine kind of dominates. The exception to that is when the lower feminine has had such you know, taken on so much that finally the lower feminine victim pukes, and they go into this controlling, rageful place. You know, so it's like, you know, you always do this, you never do that. You start blaming, and you start, you know, raging, and you become destructive, and you sort of like fall back into the lower feminine. Here's the key. There's nothing more unattractive to a woman than a man that is in his lower feminine. Likewise, there's nothing more unattractive to a man than a woman that is in her lower masculine. Now, the trick is that when we get triggered, one of the things that nice guys have a difficulty with is learning how to self-soothe, how to get themselves out of the lower state and back into the higher state of consciousness. Because as children, we never learned how to self-soothe. We have a difficult time, and what we do is we stay down in this lower feminine, and we wait for the woman to get into her lower masculine, and or actually kind of more into her higher. We want her in her higher masculine at that time to try to sort of penetrate us and bring us out of our shell. But again, that's really unattractive to her, so she's not going to do that. What she's going to do is she's going to just maintain being in her lower masculine. So once we learn how to self-soothe, and we sort of learn how our bodies work and how we operate, we can start to train ourselves to recognize, oh, I've gone down into my lower feminine. I need to get up back into my higher masculine self. And once I start doing that, I am able to also bring her from her lower masculine up to her higher feminine. It's a difficult thing, but it can be accomplished. So there's a theory in psychotherapy that's called transactional analysis, and transactional analysis is basically that we have three ego states. We have the parent state, we have the adult state, and we have the child state, and we are vacillating between these three states. If you think of the adult state as being the higher self, and that the lower state being the child state being the lower feminine, and the parental state as being lower masculine. And in the theory of transactional analysis, the way it goes is that you have two people that are talking, and somebody goes into the parental state. And once they go into the parental state, they bring the other person down into the child state. The child doesn't like being in the state. Okay, so what the child's going to do is the child's going to rise up to the parental state and try to get the other person to move down to they're going to go up to their parental state. They're going to try and get the other person to go down into their lower child state. Now, in transactional analysis, what we have to do is we have to learn to, instead of doing this, one of us has to be the adult and stay and have the ego strength to sort of stay in this state of adult state, which is essentially the higher masculine self. So if I'm in an argument with my wife, and let's say she is in her, she drops down into lower masculine, okay? I'm going to drop down to lower feminine, and she's going to be up here, right, like that. Now, if I can stay in my higher self, and I can just stay here, and she's going to go like this, okay, back and forth. Eventually, she's going to come here. But the trick is I have to stay here. I have to stay in this adult state. I have to stay in this higher masculine self. It's really difficult to do because all of my instincts are trying to trigger me into going down into my lower self. But with practice and self-soothing, so with self-soothing, it looks like this, is that I'm going to, if I find myself being triggered, I'm going to have to practice a couple of exercises. Breathing is probably the most important exercise. When I am in my triggered lower fight or flight self, my body goes into shallow breathing. That tells the brain that we're in danger. Breathing and stopping in the moment. Taking a full breath. Breathing from the diaphragm and not the chest. Bringing it down so that I'm feeling calm. Okay, and I set myself in a place of being calm. I set myself in a place of being open. And so now I can stay in this higher masculine self. Okay, so I'm going to be action-oriented, powerful, disciplined, focused. Ascertaining. So ascertaining means I'm going to go out and get the information that's necessary to do what I need to do. So you think about it in terms of like this. I'm going to build a house. I'm going to go out and I'm going to ascertain the plans, the people, the materials, and all of that that needs to be done to build a house. Now, if I'm in an argument with my wife or my significant other, higher masculine is going out and ascertaining. Tell me what's going on. Okay, I'm powerfully focused. I'm leading her, and I'm ascertaining. At the same time, I'm also in my higher feminine, so that I am open. I'm inviting. I'm validating her. I'm nurturing. I'm forgiving. I'm flowing. So I'm bringing her. So by me staying in my higher state, she's going like this. She comes to this point eventually, and when she comes to this point, well, one of us has to stay in the adult state anyway. When we're both at this state, then we can really have connection as adults. Anyway, I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email is chuck@chuckc.org, or you can visit my website at niceguyhelp.com. If you'd like a PDF version of this chart, please feel free to email me at chuck@chuckc.org, and I will send you I'll send you one of these PDF format. All right, thanks a lot.